So, taking all available sports writers out of the equation, who's your starting quarterback Saturday?
We'll determine that when we get to Friday, like we do every single week, Ben. But I appreciate you asking the question every week. So we don't do anything rotation-wise or player-wise until the end of the week, so that we know who's available for the game. So again, very presumptuous to say who it is, and then he rolls his ankle today in practice,
Right.
and then we move on. So we've had a system in place for a long time. So.
Well, when we ask these questions, we're assuming that everyone's available.
We don't assume in our profession. So.
All right. What will it be, a multi-QB?
Again, we'll wait till we get till Friday, and then we'll figure all that out.
If you had everybody available going into the Utah game, would you be comfortable with a multi-QB arrangement?
We wait till we get to the Utah week, and we'll figure that out.
Okay.
We're not a hypothetical operation, so see, you write that down. So write hypotheticals, no, and then we can move on, and we can.
Okay. All right. I should know that by now, right?
No, you shouldn't.
We're in year 6. So.
We're in year 6, but
all right.
I like hypotheticals.
All right.
Hypothetically, if we had Aaron Rodgers here, we would say he was the quarterback, but then he got hurt 4 plays in, and then you got to scrap that plan and you got to move on. Yeah. So that's why hypotheticals don't work.
Okay. It looked like we saw a possible position switch for one of your receivers in practice. Is that happening right now?
Yeah, Jaden's working on the defensive side right now. He's done a really good job in special teams for us. Really just noticed him a ton on how he handled our gunners and some of the work he's done out there. You know, we guys who play almost every position on this team, when we get to special teams, you're practicing different skills and different skill sets, and showed some things there. So we're trying to see what he looks like on that side as well.
And how did he look?
So far, so good. It's only been a day, so yesterday I thought he did a decent job, and we'll continue to work with him. And he's a really good athlete. You know, one of the top. I think he was the top hurdler in the country. Can run. He's physical. And the more players we can get that can contribute, the better we are. But I'm excited about Jaden's future.
Does the relative depth at those two positions play any kind of role in that kind of decision?
Sometimes. I mean, and Jaden's a competitor. He wants to be on the field. So, we're always trying to find what is the best 22, so to speak. You know, even though we rotate a ton of players. I mean, we're going to play multiple guys in secondary, multiple guys in receiver. But just trying to put guys in the best positions where they can be successful. So.
What's been your evaluation of that cornerback group so far?
I thought they've done good so far in their first 2 games. Coastal obviously playing against Grayson, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, did a really good job. And then last week I thought they were good. The tough part about that position is I think sometimes the only time you notice them is if the ball's completed on them. And when the ball's not completed on them, you don't really notice those guys. But we ask our corners to do a lot, throwing a lot of individual one-on-one situations, and I think so far in the first 2 games they've been really good.
How are you? Nice to meet you. After you guys' 2-0 start, they're on nationally ranked. Not that it's a big deal to you, but for the players, how motivating to feel this today?
Yeah, I think at this point in time, we're really focused on who our next opponent is. It's nice that people can recognize you, but it's not like that's something that we talk about a lot. I think we're talking about trying to improve on a daily basis, and I think that this group so far has adhered to that. It's something as you continue to move through the season, that's something to be aware of. But anytime someone says something positive about you, that's positive.
We talked about the 20 tackles for loss and all the takeaways. What has been Danton Lynn's impact in helping to get that, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's all of those guys. And I think Danton does an outstanding job of coordinating the whole group. But it's just like we are offensively. There's not one guy that's just doing everything on offense. There's not one guy that does everything on defense. There's not one guy that does everything in special teams. I think it's how that staff has gotten together. They really mixed really well, and I think it's part of Danton's leadership style. You got a lot of experience in that room, with Ken and Akaika and Brian, and then you had Cody in that mix with them. But I think they've done a really good job of meshing together as a group. Obviously, one of the strengths of our football team is our defensive front. So if we didn't have that many tackles for loss or sacks in the last 2 games, then we'd be disappointed. You know what I mean? But I think we've got some really talented players, with Latu, the Murphys. I think Gary Smith and Jay Torre are playing outstanding inside right now for us. And we've got some depth there. We've played, I think Akaika was rotating 12 guys, in the San Diego State game on a regular basis in the first and second quarter. So I think, the depth has shown through, ability to keep our players fresh has shown through. But anytime you can be that high in tackles for loss and creating turnovers, it's a credit to all those guys on the defensive side.
He's down on the sideline with you. Do you like that? Does that make communication easier, or does it not really matter?
It doesn't matter because of the headset, so I can always talk to him. And I still on the sideline talk to him on the headset. Like I don't run over and talk to him. I'll just flip over and I'll listen. And if I have something to chime in, which usually I don't, I can get. It's better for me to get a hold of him that way. So the face to face, very rarely does that occur. Same thing. Tim Drevno's our online coach, but we're usually 20 yards apart. He's trying to see from behind, and I'm usually on the side. So when I have conversations with him, it's all over the headset with everybody. So it's very rarely are you're talking to players face to face because they don't have headsets on. But you just after a while, when you get really comfortable with the communication part of it, it's almost everything from the coaches is a headset conversation.
Is that unusual for a DC to be down on the field?
No,
or?
I think it just depends on, I think the makeup of the staff, the makeup of, some guys like to be down. When I was an offensive coordinator, it was always a dilemma. I think you see the game better from the box. I think you feel the game better from the field. And I don't know, I never knew how to figure that out. I don't know if there's a wire that you could go back and forth. I think it's better communications with the players between series, when the coordinator can talk to the entire group and then they go off to their individual position coaches. That's difficult if the coordinator's obviously in the box. But it's really, we left it up to the defensive staff. How do you want to, here's how many by NCAA rules that headsets there are, how many are up, how many are down, how do you guys want to do it? And that's what they came up with.
Did he say why he wanted to do it? I haven't had a chance to
I
ask
didn't.
him.
I didn't. They just.
Okay.
I didn't even think about it after they said, all right, we're going to do it this way. I said, okay.
So you were limited by you can only have so many people
Yeah.
up in the box?
And there are only so many people on the headsets.
Okay.
So that's a NCAA rule. And then who's allowed on the headsets? So analysts, it's bizarre. Some analysts, depending on how many years they've been there, can be on headsets, but they're talk only. They're listen only, not talk only. And it's
Has this always been the case, or is this?
yeah, no, that's the NCAA's always been like that.
Okay.
So it's the NCAA, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that manual is big for a reason. There's a lot of things in there. I don't think anybody thought headset allocation was in there, but it is. It is. It's interesting. So
through the first 2 games, Dante has shown an ability to connect with a number of different receivers as opposed to just a handful. How significant is that especially for a young quarterback?
well, I think it's significant for any quarterback is that the fact that, Mike Leach, God rest his soul, used to always talk about being balanced on offense. It wasn't run pass. Balance on offense was, are you distributing the ball to your 5 eligible receivers? And so if you don't allow a defense to gang up on one guy, if one guy right now after 2 games has 22 catches and no one has more than 2, well, going into the game, the other team knows, hey, they're trying to throw the ball to Joe. So I think the more you can make them defend the entire field and defend all the eligible receivers, it gives you more opportunities to make plays in space, and that's what we're trying to do is, especially in the passing game, get our receivers in space. And it also tells you that he's done a really good job in his reads and his progressions of if one is covered, he's moved on to 2 or moved on to 3 or moved on to 4. So getting the ball distributed across all 5 eligible receivers is important, whether you're a young quarterback or an old quarterback. We good, guys?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.